Welcome back to the Dole Play. You are listening to episode 16, and it's been a minute, and we're finally back in an era of sports where we kind of just got baseball and the biggest sporting event in the world going on, which is the World Cup. And then we got football coming up, basketball just ended, hockey just ended. So we're kind of in
That era.
a dead era, an interesting phase of sports. And for us baseball lovers, we don't mind it. I know a lot of people are looking forward to, September already. But hey, it's just a different era. It's a different era for sports right now. And that makes me want to talk about the off season because that's kind of where we're at in terms of at least basketball. And when talking about the off season, I mean, this might be the greatest off season in NBA history.
Yeah, no, it's by far in recent memory the biggest trade deadline that I've witnessed in my lifetime. I mean, you're talking about, monumental players, big time, multi-time all-stars getting traded. And it's not just one, it's not just two, it's five, six, seven. Every day I see more and more and more. But I mean, we're from Miami. We're from the 305. Let's start off.
So wait, let's talk about how that happened, right? Um, Giannis, the trade rumors to Miami has been going on since I don't know, maybe COVID, maybe. Before he won the ring, I think it was right before he signed that deal with the Bucks, staying, and in the following year he won the championship. There was so much buzz about him wanting to go to Miami, and that didn't happen. And then he won his ring, so he kind of solidified himself already as a Hall of Famer. But he said it himself, he wants more. He wants more championships. He doesn't want to just leave it at that. He's also still in a prime age. And he said himself he wanted to come to Miami. And we were I'm not gonna say expecting it, but we were hopeful. And Pat Riley has been sleeping for many years. Jimmy Butler, Bam, that Heat era was one to remember. But we went to two finals and we lost, and that's not the Heat. That's not the Heat. We got to win. And Pat Riley didn't make any moves for a while, and finally we're here. He got the big dog. This is like more or less the third time he went out and got the big dog. Previously with Shaq, LeBron, now Giannis. Um, okay. Outside of of being a Heat fan, what do you think about the trade? What do you think? What we let go?
So as you said, I mean, it's been in talks for years. So when the talks came up again this offseason, it just felt like, another white whale. Just, dude, like, if it happens, great. Like, I'm not really
Yeah.
expecting anything. But as the talks ramped up, I was like, damn, is this actually gonna happen? And then when it happened, like, dude, this guy just yelled, like the loudest yell ever, and it scared me. I'm like, dude, what? This had to have been Giannis.
You thought someone died.
I don't know what the hell happened,
You were
bro.
like, dude, you scared me. I literally yelled and I just like
I knew it was a
couldn't
big
contain my
move.
excitement.
I knew it was a big move, and it had to have been this one. But man, it felt good. But breaking down the deal, I mean, Milwaukee dealt obviously Giannis probably the top three player every year for the past 6+ years. They dealt him for Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez, Kasparis, and 4 first-round picks and a pick swap in this year's NBA draft.
Was it four?
Yeah,
Jeez.
was it not? Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was three. Yeah,
Well, if
you're right.
you include this year's, it's
Yeah.
technically or whatever. Point is, hefty luggage that was dealt. From an objective point of view, I mean, when you look at terms of value and what the Bucks are trying to do, which is build long term, I think they won this trade in terms of value. I mean, dude, this many first round picks is, and the best part is that they come later on. They come in 2030, 2029, once the ball starts rolling of that rebuild.
Yeah.
So I think they timed it perfectly. Um, guys like Khalil Ware and Tyler Hero, I mean, we love them both.
And they're young.
And they're young and they're guys that I'd
They're
be hopeful.
studs. They're
They're studs.
studs.
They're studs.
Yeah.
So as far as who genuinely wins the trade, it's tough to say because at the end of the day, you don't find a Giannis any day.
It's a win-win.
I
I'll just
think
keep it short. I think it's a win-win. I think the Heat needed to get that white whale, whether if it's winning this next season or the following. Kind of like what we did with LeBron. We went out and got him. Didn't win the first year. We went out to win the second year. We got the right pieces around him, and that was it. So I think it's just a matter of building the right pieces around Giannis to make it a successful trade. And then if we don't, then yeah, and then who knows? Maybe we lose the trade. But I do think we give up the Bucks a good haul. We gave him two studs. I have love for Tyler Hero. I'm a Miami Heat fan. He's been with us for I don't know 5 years, 7 years actually. Looking at it, 7 years, and when we've been to two finals with him, All Star with a 6 man with us.
great
Sorry, 6 matches
memories.
a year. Great memories. But I'm happy for him in Milwaukee. That's where his hometown. And yeah, long story short, we got Giannis. I was talking about it with my brother. I think this is probably the biggest player that we've gotten on a favorite team of ours, maybe in our lifetime.
Since LeBron.
Yeah, not obviously since LeBron, and you can debate with Juan Soto with the Yankees because we're Yankee fans, but
I think this is bigger.
I think this is bigger. I think this is he's already solidified a Hall of Famer, and yeah, it
And to tap this and to tap the Giannis thing off, I mean, at the end of the day, and we said it, a Greek freak doesn't walk around every day. Whatever it took, I said we had to do it. We got to whatever it takes to get that guy. You just do it.
yeah,
So as a Heat fan, I'm happy.
yeah,
Big haul, but I'm happy.
and his production offensively and defensively. How many players could you say that about in the league? And I think and we'll get into the best players entering next season. But man, I think outside of Giannis was obviously the biggest move this offseason. There's another move that happened, um, which was Jalen Brown. That resulted from the Giannis trade. The Celtics should have gotten Giannis, but they ended up not, and then they had to move Jalen Brown because it would have been awkward. Jalen Brown to the Sixers for Paul George and some picks. Is this the worst, best trade ever? Like
As a Heat fan,
it was like the most enjoyable one for you. For me, like for example, like I'm a Yankee fan. Like I remember the Mookie Betts, Verdugo trade, right? I loved that because I hated Mookie Betts. He was so good on the Red Sox that I wanted him elsewhere. Um, but for me, this is one of my favorite like hate watches.
it's just out of all the teams that we just don't like, Boston Celtics might sit at the top. I despise them, but whatever. Point
There's
is,
nothing like about it.
seeing them get fleeced this bad was a joy to watch. I mean, it's just my opinion. Like it's true. I mean, Paul George is one of the most inconsistent players in the game. He's great when he's at times, but can he stay on the court? When he
No,
does, could he stay consistent? Like
he's in that second half of his career where he's already and his peaks past him. And
so, I think the Boston Celtics title contentions. I don't know what the odds went to, but they should have dropped significantly, in my opinion.
entering this offseason, they were the team that was supposed to improve the most, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They had already won a championship. Adding Giannis, that can make a dynasty conversations if they win the following. Like, dude, you add Giannis to that team, it's scary. And they actually probably made it the worst offseason for them. And so as a Heat fan, it was like it felt good.
Even the Boston Celtics just staying the way they were and maybe adding a couple different pieces like off the
Yeah.
bench, they could have easily won a title. Like they could have
Yeah,
been
like
one
I
of those
like I
teams.
like I like them adding Mike Conley. I like them, but at the end of the day, bro, like I don't know if that's gonna work out. They were supposed to get Giannis and they didn't.
This was
So
one of the fleece jobs of the century for sure.
and it's unusual, bro, because that front office has been incredible. And that decision was just so out of left field, in my opinion, bro. Um, that happened with Jalen Brown, and then also LaMelo to the Timberwolves. Um, that was an interesting one, and I wanted to ask you because I don't think I've had this conversation with you. Do you think that LaMelo to the Timberwolves makes them better?
The Timberwolves,
Yeah.
I think it's tough because not that Nas Reed is at the level of LaMelo Ball, but Nas Reed was I think a big side chess piece for the Timberwolves.
Massive.
I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league, and he was a big part of that team, right? But looking at their starting lineup, they're pretty deep. They got Jan Daniels, Gobert, and I think they could have afforded this. So I think adding a player like LaMelo to this team makes them better. I do think LaMelo is that good. I think he has great passing ability. Where you can't just double team Ant. You got to
Yeah.
also not worry about him.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great for the T Wolves. Now, as far as the Hornets, I mean, they did get an unprotected first round pick. They got Nas Reed, but man, I think the Hornets got worse. I think the Hornets were at a point that they were one or two. They were skipping a hop away from being a legit contender in the East.
And that was their franchise player. I
And
think that's crazy.
LaMelo, yeah, he was the guy they were somewhat building around, and then Conconnable now. But dude, I thought they should have gone out and bought a big player instead of
Yeah.
shipping away one of their best.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting trade. I did not expect it to happen. I don't think anybody did,
No.
but I think it helps the T Wolves. I think they get better. I think Ant could feed off that Lamelo energy. They tend to give off a similar personality where I think it could click and they could
Yeah.
actually, make a bigger push.
I think I think this trade works um only if LaMelo figures out a role where he becomes the facilitator of the team. Anthony Edwards is one of the greatest scorers in the NBA. His ability to score from anywhere is incredible. He's one of my favorite players. He has to see that role, right? He is their franchise player. He's not moving. However, you add a guy, a deep ball threat like LaMelo, who is great at passing. I think he has to start targeting that little more. I think he has to, in order for make that team to work. I think, um, because then now I think the defense, you break down the opposing team's defense a little more because again, you can't just double team it now. Now they gotta worry about LaMelo. So that I think could work to their advantage. However, bro, I think Nas Reed was a really, really big piece of that team. Um, and I really gotta figure out how. And dude, what's his name? Ayo. What's his name?
Yeah, yeah.
Ayo. Yeah, I mean, he showed up last year. Heck, last year in the playoffs. That guy's gonna be a um,
Role player.
serious piece, serious role player to that team. I have faith in the Timberwolves. I really do. I think that's a team that I mean, we saw him beat the Denver Nuggets. Unfortunately, Ant was beat up. Who knows? Maybe with Ant's health and Lamelo. I'm not sleeping on them, bro. I think they have a really, really good team.
Yeah,
It just
no.
has to work with Lamelo as a facilitator, in my opinion.
That and just if they can get a couple more guys for depth, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah,
They can
for
really
sure.
compete.
Yeah.
But
And then there's the big news. Somehow it gets bigger than Giannis to the Heat, than Jalen Brown to the
is it
Sixers,
bigger? It's big. It's
than
big.
Lamelo. It's just the face of basketball is moving elsewhere. He's not what
Who's the base of basketball?
LeBron James.
Oh,
He's the face of the sport, of the history of the sport,
well,
in my
no.
opinion.
Well, hold up. Don't jump the gun. Let's save that for last. Let's first mention who I thought you were gonna mention. One of the greatest players to ever touch a basketball is going back to where he won in 2019. Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, that's
So so
yeah.
Kawhi Leonard, that was one that I was not expecting. I I
Me
I
neither.
I get I don't know. The Clippers, they definitely needed some move,
Yeah,
but I didn't think they were gonna trade him. Yet alone that I think Toronto was gonna give him a second chance and bring him back. And I didn't think it would be those two teams. Clippers get Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, two first round picks,
oh
and
shit,
two
they got
second
Dick, bro.
rounders. Yeah. I think the Clippers, this is similar to the Giannis trade, in where the team giving away the big player is getting a great return
Yeah,
and they're looking to rebuild.
yeah.
But the
I
Heat and the Raptors are both getting a player who can automatically make you a title contender,
The Heat. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Giannis, yeah,
make you an automatic title contender, one you to the next.
yeah,
So I like this for the Raptors. I think the Raptors were another team that needed a big move,
yeah,
and this could be it.
yeah. Honestly, bro, that's another move that worked out. I think on both ends, cause I really do believe that the Clippers had to move Kawhi. Similarly honest in the sense that these guys are at the top of their game, even though they're in the second half of their career. And bro, your team around you, it's not going anywhere. So you gotta get a haul. You gotta start looking towards the future. Um, and I think they did a good job moving Kawhi. You know, they had to move Harden. They had to move Zubac. They had to move on to a more younger core. And I think the Clippers are doing a great job of that. I do. I really do. I think that move had to happen. I didn't see it coming. Especially back to Toronto. Um, but bro, let's be real. I mean, Kawhi Leonard, the season he had last year was arguably the greatest season of his career. And I think adding him back into Toronto, uh, where I think the Eastern Conference is this offseason, the Eastern Conference has gotten much stronger, much stronger. But I think there's a better chance of him running it back
Bro, I think
with
I
with weapons.
really think they have a very good chance of making a deep run. One, they've done it with him before,
Yeah,
right? And that team last season, it seemed like they had all the supporting pieces, but we're missing a big guy
yeah.
with Scotty. They just, with RJ Barrett, they had a bunch of good supporting role pieces, and they were missing the one big guy. They got the right guy to give you a deep
They
playoff
lacked
push.
a vet, and they just needed the guy that got them there already.
Yeah. And on top of it, he's one of the clutchest players and the most one of the guys who's known as
Greece.
the best winners in NBA history,
Yeah,
Kawhi Leonard.
yeah,
So that was huge.
yeah,
And then one last one before we jump to the big fish, but John Morant going to Portland,
yeah.
that was, you know,
I'm confused because you know what you're getting with John Morant, right? I mean, you a freak athlete that you don't know when you're gonna get him. The best ability is availability, and he hasn't proven that throughout his career. When he's healthy, though, he's the most athletic player probably on the court. Um, However, Portland has Dame him, Scoot Henderson, Drew Holiday. You have a lot of guards right now, so I'm sure after this episode, one of those pieces moves. I don't know what their plan is with four guards, but I
Pat
think
Riley, make the call for Drew, please.
yeah, I
Get
think
Drew Holiday in
yeah,
Miami.
it's worked with Giannis already with Drew. Just run it back, He's the right guy for us. Or yeah, I don't know. It's just it doesn't make sense to me. So I think they're gonna have to do something with all those guards. Yeah, they have yeah, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think members had to move on. They need more dependable guys. I don't think they were just sick of it.
Yeah,
But
it's been conversation since he was since he joined the team. Because let's be real, Memphis wasn't competitive even when he was there. So it was always like, when is he going out or when is he moving? And then what is he even worth if he's not even available half the time? So
yeah.
you can tell. I mean, Memphis didn't even get that great of a return. So that's when availability is the best ability. So
And then one last quick thing I wanted to touch before we move on to LeBron was the Knicks. Obviously, they were one of my favorite championship teams in recent memory.
yeah,
Great run. They get back Landry Shamet for 4 years and Jose Alvarado, two,
important
core,
important pieces to the championship team.
yeah, glue guys that brought the team together and were big off the bench. That was huge. They lose Mitch Robinson to Boston. I mean, you can't keep them all. Mitch was great, big part. They needed that backup center, but I think that was good for Boston getting Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah,
He's huge, man. He's a great center. He knows his role.
yeah.
So those were cool pieces. But
LeBron James, my opinion, is the best basketball player of all time. And I think part of that reason is his longevity, you know, on for the fact that we're getting a 24th. This doesn't sound real saying that, but we're getting a 24th season to him. He's confirmed. He said he's not retiring. He's playing those, she said. And he's not playing with his son. He's not playing back in LA. So we got her from the Cavs to the Heat, back to the Cavs, then LA. Where does he go now? See?
well, let me start off with my mentality a couple weeks ago of the LeBron topic. And it starts off with originally, I just thought that LeBron was going to do and make a decision based off what's best for his family. And I originally thought, damn, Bronny, I don't think is 100% ready yet to be on his own. To be on his own, he was probably 1 year away from that. So maybe I was thinking LeBron stick around LA, give Bronny that comfort to be his own NBA guy, and then he could retire. So I originally was thinking that he was gonna stay in LA with for his son, for his family, and give Bronny that one last year of comfort before he spreads his wings. That was my original thought.
Yeah.
But then the curveball comes, and Bronny signs with the Lakers a deal, and LeBron says, I'm playing another year, and I'm not staying in LA." And that's where I was like, "Damn, I'm off. What is he doing?" And
I was sold that he was staying.
and once he announced that, and still till this day, I it's hard to read. It's very, very hard to read on where he's gonna go. I don't think anybody can give you a definitive answer. I think the best odds on sports books right now is him going back to Cleveland. But my mentality, you know, is what if LeBron's playing another year? I don't think it's to waste time. He's what 42 years old. I think he wants to win and go out with a bang. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he has 4 rings. He has nothing else to prove in this game. I don't think he wants to just spend another year, lollygagging and just, I think he's there. He wants to win. So when I analyze every roster available, the one spot that stands out to me that I think would be an automatic ring and gives him the best chance would be San Antonio. That's my opinion. I think him and Wemby would be unstoppable. I think LeBron would lead the league in assists, and Wemby becomes the automatic MVP and just catapults Wemby's career into another galaxy. And the Spurs also have an amazing supporting cast and bench that I think that will give him the ring, right? But are the Spurs willing to do that?
No.
So that's the question. And
No, they're looking towards the future. They're not looking for a 42-year-old to
okay,
step in, especially after the run that they just had going to the NBA Finals. I don't think that's going to help out their team either. I think they have to start looking for, yes, considering Wemby's future and what's going to elevate him to the next level. And I don't know. I think they're looking long term. I don't think they're aware that if they get, say if they get LeBron, what happens next? You know, So it's a. I don't think that would ever happen. I don't even think LeBron would even consider that.
well,
Um.
he was considering it. It was on the list. But fair. I get that argument
So
and I totally understand.
yeah.
Now, the next team that falls into mind if he wants to win now is a move that another one that I don't think will happen, and is going to the New York Knicks. And I think he said it's his favorite place to play, Madison Square Garden. It's an already stacked cast, but the con is they just won a title. It's a soft move. It's a soft move. He's aware of it. If it weren't for that, Rich Paul said it. He would have already signed as a Knick, right? But again, just me being in LeBron's mind and trying to be in his shoes. If I want to win, those are my two destinations. Putting everything else aside, would you agree with that?
To what that they would win it all?
That if your mind is just simply on winning, no other factors involved, those are your two destinations.
No,
Okay.
no. I don't think. No, I think if like if we're looking at a 1 year lease because that's technically what we're looking at with LeBron, San Antonio, yeah, I mean that would be pretty unstoppable, and I think his vet presence and his IQ knowledge is unparalleled, and I think Wemby would definitely learn a lot from that, and I think he would probably win the MVP with LeBron by his side, but not the Knicks. I think there are better places in the landscape of the NBA for LeBron to call it one last ride, and it
But
seems like there's 3 front runners right now, right?
I know, but I'll okay.
And let's talk about those 3 front runners, right? Because it looks like he will be going to the Cavaliers again. His third stint. Philadelphia 76ers. And if you have seen this show, you know my disliking towards that city and their teams. So let's hope that's not the case.
I don't see
And
it.
then there is the decision part two. There's the return to South Beach. And look, the truth is, Heat and the Sixers have made big moves. They are now easy competitors now with those two moves. Jaylen Brown to the Sixers and Giannis to the Heat
by itself.
by itself, right? So now he's already looking. Which, by the way, the three teams that I just named are in the East, and I think that's the right way to go if you're calling it one last rep. I don't think the smart move is stay in the West. I think the West is stacked.
I agree.
So I think he's making the right decision by going to the East. There's the Sixers, which that lineup will look like BJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, LeBron, and Embiid. Right? That's an insane team.
The
I think
issue
that's a better fit for LeBron than the Knicks.
is no
You
way
have
it
you
is.
you have two of the top scorers of the Eastern Conference last year, side by side to a godly facilitator, Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey. Those are like two of the highest scorers in the Eastern Conference last year. And then you throw in an MVP with an Embiid, and then the future BJ Edgecombe. That right there is a championship caliber team. However, my only concern will be the depth. And then there's the poetic route, right?
Yeah,
The
but
poetic route would be returning to Cleveland.
let me stay on
Why
let me
not?
stay on the Philly topic. Let me
Okay,
stay on the Philly topic
let's stay on it.
because my thing with Philly is there's too many guys that demand the ball on that team already. All right, I've seen enough basketball, Philadelphia basketball, where those none of those guys, where it's Maxi, Brown, or Embiid, none of those three are they're not really pass first guys. They really aren't. They're guys that they pretty much get the ball and shoot the ball when they get it. And and it's not that you have to be a shooter, but LeBron's a guy that you need him to have. You want him to have the ball the majority of the time, whether he's passing or shooting, no matter what. You know what I mean? So I just think there's a lot of high ball usage players on the Sixers, and the chemistry. I think it would be a factor. I think it'll be a negative issue, and I think LeBron's aware of that. That's why I'm veering away from Philly personally.
I
But
think
fine, I get it. The star power would be insane, and the as far as on paper, it'd probably be the best team that we've seen in a long time.
yeah.
But yes,
So yeah. So then there's a second alternative, which is he returns to Cleveland. I think that's the most poetic route. I think it's the most probable route because it's like one last hurrah. Like I'm coming back home to close that chapter of my life where it all began. Um, that would be Harden, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron, Mobley, and Jared Allen. That's a great team. I think it's possible that James Harden could finally win his first ring. But I think for that to happen, you gotta get rid of Harden. I mean, I'm not even a Harden hater. I just
well, he is a free agent as of right now,
yeah
so he's not locked up yet.
yeah.
I would assume if they get Braun, I don't think they'd re get. I don't think they'd sign.
I wouldn't. So then and then there's the Heat. Okay. Right now, that team would consist of Davion Mitchell, Andrew Wiggins, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Bam Adebayo. Okay. You come back to South Beach, you have a new big three, right? With Giannis, Bam, LeBron. Everyone's concern right now is, yeah, I mean, the Sixers already have the guys that can score. The Cavs have the guys that can score. Who 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 who, who is gonna shoot the basketball for the Miami Heat? Here's the thing. First of all, the Heat aren't done with their offseason by the time we record this episode. So these five right now is just what we have right now, right? We just extended Wiggins, um, but there's still more. So I think that determines on LeBron's move, what we do elsewhere, Miami Heat. And the truth is, we have defense. We can offer more on the defensive side than the other two teams. That is how we score, in my opinion. So I'm not necessarily worried about who's gonna shoot the ball because I know we're gonna get those guys, right? Even adding Tim Hardaway Jr. to that
Massive,
depth,
massive pickup,
great pickup. You know, I mean, he looks in the rafters and he sees his last name, and so there's something to live or there's something to play for.
and he's a dog.
And he's a shooter, so that's why I've watched enough Heat basketball to know that we our championship method has never been around. Let's get guys that can shoot the basketball. LeBron James, I mean, he's one of the greatest scorers of all time. You can argue he is the greatest scorer of all time when we got him, right? But the pieces around him weren't necessarily shooters until then we got Ray Allen. Until then we got guys like Mike Miller, you know? So though the supporting cast, I think, will be enough for that.
Pat finds a way for that.
That's why I'm not even worried. His priority has always been defense. And as a Heat fan, I know why, because that translates to good offense. So if you were to ask me what is the best move for LeBron, I think would be, my gosh, it's tough. It's very hard. I just don't think the Sixers is gonna leave a good taste. Um, I don't know how that chemistry is, how it will turn out. I think LeBron has a can rely on the front office with Pat Riley because he's experienced it before. He's aware of how it's ran. You know what I'm saying? So at an age of 42 years old, considering your final destination in your legendary career, the safest play, if you want to win, in my opinion, is the Heat. The Cavs, I think if you get him, you move on from Harden. Then there's some poetic energy there where I think that could really take off. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Only because he is back in Cleveland where it all began. And he has this emotional attachment to that city. And he has such a great supporting cast already that I'm leaning towards Cleveland or the Heat. I don't see him so I see him resorting to a team that he's been on already that's reliable. I don't see him doing some really ambitious thing where he joins a new face, you know? I said it before he said he was not returning to the Lakers. I said his new team is going to be the Lakers, the Heat, or the Cavs because he's played on there. He's played on those teams already. I don't think he's going to be that ambitious to go out onto a new front office, new organization, because then he's relying on a 1 year front office gamble, you know, because then he's like, okay, we got to move around pieces within one offseason. So I think LeBron is aware of Pat. I think he knows what he just did with Giannis. And hey, we've seen it happen with Shaq, right? With a guy that's starting on the end of his career, supporting a guy like Wade, you know? And I think this could be a new 2006 where we get a big cat and we take off. But if you look at the Miami Heat, you have Giannis, you have Jimmy Butler, right? Whenever we acquire guys that are good, we make them great. I really think that Giannis, and we'll talk about this closer to the next season, is gonna be an MVP frontrunner because of how we make or amplify those players. So yeah, I think LeBron has to come back to either Cleveland or Miami.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense, bro.
Yeah. So I think since we are talking about the following season, what could happen? I mean, this is gonna be a very fresh new league. The teams are gonna look very different. Um, I think it's more competitive league next year. With that being said, I wanted to ask you um who the top 5 NBA players were. I asked you before the episode to just give me your top 5 entering next year. Entering next year is the key word because if we can talk about last year's top 5 players, it's gonna be different, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I have my top 5. Um, would you like to start or should I start?
Don't ask, just rip it or pass it.
Okay. At number 5, it's gonna be controversial, but is it? I have the captain of the New York Knicks. I have Jalen. I have Jalen Brunson.
I don't think it's controversial.
I think when you win a championship as a captain and dominate at that level, to me, that's what I'm looking for in a basketball player. The guy that's gonna get me to where I want to be. He's that guy. He proved it. There's nothing to get more in depth. Um, his name is already cemented as maybe the greatest Nick of all time. He's my 5. He's the guy that's gonna take you there. Number 4, the guy that's already taken his past team there. It's gonna be Giannis Antetokounmpo. I said it before. I think when it comes to production offensively and defensively, he's unmatched. He's won Defensive Player of the Year. He's won MVP. He's won a Finals MVP. What more do you want a player, MC, than Giannis? What more do you want? I feel like a spoiled kid that the fact that he's in the Heat right now. That's my four. My three, well, it's a good counter to my four. What else could you want more in a player? Production offensively and defensively. A guy that already has a Finals MVP. That's SGA. I know Shea Gilgeous-Alexander will be one on many people's lists, and I totally understand that. I wouldn't even argue that. Because he does check all the boxes. He has the clutch gene. He's a shooter. His ability to score and defend, it's unmatched. So he's my opinion, by far, I'll say confidently, by far the best guard in the league. My opinion, best guard in the league by far. Then there's number two, Victor Wembanyama. I think Victor Wembanyama has the ability to become the best defensive player of all time. I also think he is the future of the National Basketball Association. He's so young. He just made his first NBA Finals at what, 21? 22? I mean, this is just ridiculous. He has a lot of maturing to do. I think this experience of him losing in the finals and the struggle that he had to face is going to build character in him. And it's going to build an even better player next year, which is absurd to think of. But I do think he has maturing to do to become the one of the greats. And let's be real, he has the ability to become one of those greats. Speaking of one of the greats, my one is Nikola Jokic. He's one of the greats. When we talk about the greatest players of all time, I mean, you got to mention Nikola Jokic.
Of course.
We've talked about it a lot throughout the years, specifically this decade, that have we seen a better player than Nikola Jokic play basketball? Um, Personally, I'll say something that I haven't seen many players that have made the game look that easy. Um, you can knock on his defensive ability. However, you can argue that he's maybe the most valuable asset for an offense. Ever maybe. Facilitating, rebounds, scoring. I mean, there's nothing to talk about. He's one of the greats. And entering next year, he hasn't moved. He hasn't moved. He's steady. He doesn't require a lot of athletic ability. He's stayed healthy. So I just don't know how you can not bank on that on one of the all-time greats. But I really do think the top three are interchangeable. That's my opinion.
Yeah. No, I mean, bro, I, in my personal opinion, I think the top 5 players, I think everybody should have, if not 4 of the 5, but probably all 5 the same. I really think it's hard to like switch any of these guys out. I really do. I mean, I'm trying to think of I can't see another player over these 5. So I have the same 5 players as you in my top 5,
Oh, wow.
but ranked 100% differently. So let's start at 5. And you want to talk about having a controversial 5? I'll have that with you right here. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is my number 5. All right. I think that, and I want to full disclosure before I start speaking why. I have the utmost respect for him. I do believe that he is elite. If you have him number 1, totally understand. My thing is that I think the conversation gets inflated a lot because of the success of his team and the cast around him and the comfort that he has. And maybe that's just the circumstance that he was given. But the 4 players I have above him, I would just rather have on my team. If I were to start from scratch building a team, I'd rather these 4 players over Shea. And that was my mentality. I've never seen Shea alone. And quite frankly, even this year, Shea didn't win with the stacked cast that
There
that
are
he had.
4 players in the NBA you'd rather have over Shea.
Yeah, and I'm gonna show you that right now. All right. At 4, At number 4, I'm picking Jalen Brunson. All right. Jalen Brunson, in my opinion, is the most valuable point guard that you can have in the league right now. Why? Because he's a winner. This is the first year that
SGA is not a winner, right?
SGA won, but let's not get it confused. That team was without a doubt the best team in the NBA. Not only the year they won, but even this year when they lost. I mean, that's one of the most complete teams that we've seen in basketball. So, as far as the winning gene goes, I don't think there's a bigger winner and clutcher player in the sport of basketball than Jalen Brunson. And
SGA.
he is not clutcher than Jalen Brunson, and the stats will prove it. If you go back to our videos on the reels, I have stats for you that show who averages the most points in the fourth quarter in the last 2 seasons, and it's Jalen Brunson. If this playoff run didn't show you that, how he smacked the Spurs. Shea couldn't beat the Spurs. Jalen Brunson was picking them apart in the clutch. Every game in the
I'll tell
clutch.
you what, we can go back and forth about who's more clutch. They both have the clutch gene. I think those are the
I,
two most clutch players in the NBA. Not even a doubt.
what? I mean, I think
Those are the
Brunson's
two.
significantly more clutcher than Shea. I'm just gonna be honest
I'm
with
not
you.
gonna say more significantly. I'm not even gonna say that he's more clutch. I'm not gonna say Shea's more clutch. I'm not even gonna hear have that conversation. Scoring, defense, those are things that I consider in a basketball player. I understand that you have this high off this championship, and I totally buy that. I'm buying on the high. He's my top 5 too. But to tell me that you'd rather have that guy over Shea because of what? He's more clutch? You acting like
Because
Shea's not clutch. What he does defensively and offensively, I don't even know if Brunson could do.
offensively, 100% he could do. I think Jalen Brunson's are right there with him, and he's done it in the clutch, and he's carried his team, where he's the
I
best
don't
player
think
on his.
Brunson's as efficient, bro. I don't think he's as efficient as SGA.
That's fine. You can think that,
And
bro,
he
and I
doesn't do
respect
and
it.
he doesn't do what he does on the other side of the ball.
But you got to understand.
In my opinion.
I
That's
agree.
why I have him higher. But yeah,
Shea's a better
I
defender,
respect your opinion.
and I respect yours. I understand. I could understand if everybody has Shea over Brunson. I would understand that. I'm just letting you know, me. I value clutch players. I value guys who are gritty and guys who don't give a fuck and just want to win. That's what I value personally. And Brunson just showed it to me right now.
If I could have a one player on the Heat right now, one, it's SGA. My bad.
I'd rather Brunson over him. What if I told you that? And that's just me. And maybe I'm crazy, and I respect that. That's 100% valid. Let's not get it conflated. I totally understand that. I would understand if you have SG at number 1 in this list. I'm just letting you know my personal opinion. What I value
I respect it.
are dogs like Brunson, and what Brunson just showed to me. Maybe it is. I'm riding the high. Maybe it is.
Okay, let's just get this out of the way. All these 5 players are dogs.
100%. And I don't even think there's anyone outside of this 5 that could step in over these 5.
You can even argue Wemby's like the least dog.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
Fine. 5 SGA, 4 Brunson. At number 3, I have Nikola Jokic. All right. And for the same and this is again entering next season. I am agreeing with Dax that I think he has been the number 1 best player in basketball since 2021. I'll probably say that. I think he's been number 1. Like I even last year when SGA won MVP and this past year when he won MVP, I think I would have given it to Jokic personally. I think Jokic has been the best player. But he's getting a little older. And these 2 guys that I have above are entering another stratosphere right now, which leads me to number 2, Giannis Antetokounmpo. We mentioned it earlier. When you enter Miami, it unlocks another tier of a player in you. We've seen it with Jimmy Butler. We've seen it with LeBron, quite
Yeah,
frankly.
LeBron.
You see it with a lot of guys. It's the Heat culture. It's real, whether you're from here or not. You gotta respect it. You gotta see it. You gotta be in shape. You gotta have a certain mentality and grit level. So I have no doubt in my mind that Giannis is gonna be receptive to that, and he's gonna grow with it. And Giannis he might even win the MVP next year
Yeah.
because he does it on both ends of the floor, and his heart mixed with the Heat culture is gonna be such a good fire, and it's gonna be good chemistry. So he's my 2.
And he wanted to come here, bro, too, It's like I love that. I love that.
So that's the reason why I think the motivational factor is why I have it over Jokic. Jokic kind of just it's another year for him. I'm the best player in the league. I'm just going into another year. So the motivational factor is why I have him at 2. And my one is another motivational factor, Victor Wembanyama. I think the way this past season and this finals just ended, it's something that stays with you not only going into next season but forever. It lit a fire in him. I think the jump from the past year going into last season was big for Wemby. And I think when a player goes through the playoffs, when they goes through the grind, it builds you, bro. That you know the your pressure, or what is it? Diamonds made under pressures. And this playoff run, I think, is just gonna turn Wemby into an animal, and it may even be a villain arc. I already saw it in the finals. People are starting to look him as a villain,
Yeah.
and I think it's great for the league. It's a good villain. It's not a bad one. It's freaking healthy. It's badass. And I think Wemby is going into this offseason with that fire in him. And there's a reason on the DraftKings and all the odds he's favored to win the MVP next year. And I'm with it. I think he is the best player in basketball. Defensively, it's not even a question.
Yeah.
Offensively, he's a skip and a hop away. He really is.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to work on it. And I think he will be there. But like I said, those five, in my personal opinion, I don't think there's anybody outside of that five that can enter that five. In my opinion. I don't know if you agree or not. Like I'm looking at, other guys outside, and Edwards, Kawhi, Donovan Mitchell. I don't think they're in that round with these five guys.
Why are you not saying Luca?
Because Luca left a sour taste in my mouth this past season. His defense is not even average. It's horrible. And he needs a big jump. He
My number one is Jokic. There's a much better. Yeah,
But Jokic could do his job on defense. He's not a liability. I don't think he's a liability. I think Luca is a liability when you're there complaining with the refs after getting fouled and you leave your team on a 5v4. That to me is an issue. And he needs to mature. So I think
you
he
think he's
is
the
not.
best scorer in the league?
No, I don't. Luca?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's the most talented scorer, maybe. Sure. But I mean, right now it's just like, bro, it's Shea and Brunson. No, Shea. I mean, Shea
Yeah,
is
shit.
just so efficient. It's like you said, you know. But
I really think it's Luka or Shaq.
it's fair. You could even say Luca as the best scorer. But if I'm picking my top five
So
players,
yeah,
I don't think he's there. I really don't. I think there's a gap between Shea and Brunson and him. I think there's a gap between those guys for me.
I agree. I mean, I do think that there's five, and then outside of that five, there's Luca, and you can argue Ant belongs in that tier with Luca, but yeah, y-
Kawhi? I think so. I do.
I guess I yeah, I guess you could say that after last year,
Yeah.
and then going back to nah, but bro, I mean, yeah, whatever. Let's just move on
Yeah.
because we could be here all day with that.
So let's wrap up this episode
Yep.
with, the as the All-Star game concludes, everybody knows the next thing in the sport is the trade deadline approaching.
Yeah.
We're a couple weeks away already, as it is. Talks are starting to ramp up. In a week from now, you'll probably see a fish splash. What do you?
Yeah.
I have I have 4 to 5 moves that I have predictions for. Um, if you want, I can kick us off.
Mm.
Um, these are some darts that we're throwing at the wall here,
Yeah.
but I'll start off with the biggest name of the trade deadline in Tarek Subel. Maybe a biased pick. Maybe a biased pick, but I'm going with Tarek Subel being traded to the New York Yankees. I think the New York Yankees are in a spot more than any team in the entire sport where they need to win now, right? Aaron Judge is in his mid 30s. Garrett Cole's 35 as well. Stanton's getting older. You do have a good young core, but you need to win for these guys now. I
Yeah.
mean, it's too many years of there's our year, there's our year. You have, as the Yankees, you have the farm system to go out and make a big trade. You have guys like Lombard, you have guys like Lagrange, you have guys like Elmer Cruz Rodriguez. You have a bunch of guys that could be moving pieces and can land you an arm in Tarek Skubal that automatically makes you a World Series. Forget even a contender, but arguably winner. I mean, a staff with Skubal, Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Schlittler, those four alone. I don't even know how you can win two of those with ease. It's very hard. If you're Cashman, you go all in on this move. There's no reason to build a farm system. You got to win right now. And I think he's in panic mode. I think he knows that. And I think he presses that button and pays a big price for Tarek Skubal. That's my first one.
That would
My second one, and
like honestly.
another big market team who does big moves. I think the Dodgers are in desperate need of a big reliever. Edwin Diaz, obviously, that's who they relied on in the offseason. His whole thing blew up. I think they go out and trade for a Aroldis Chapman. I think Chapman has been, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's one of the best closers the game has ever seen, despite his age. He keeps himself in condition. He's reliable, and dude, he just it seems like the Dodgers need that's what they're missing.
Yeah.
They're gonna make a move. Everybody knows it. They always do. I think they get Chapman. My third pick is a guy who just signed with the Mets, Freddie Peralta. The Mets are nowhere near contending for a playoff spot or World Series. Cohen's aware of that. I
Yeah.
think they go out and get rid of Peralta, who's on a 1-year deal anyways, to a team who's been gambling with their starting pitching for years now, and it's the Philadelphia Phillies. I think the Phillies, they need a starting pitcher, right? They've been too much dependent in the last years on Aaron Nola and a bunch of uncertainties. They got a guy like Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler. They got those two guys who are horses of your rotation. Lazardo's been good. Then your 4 and 5 has always been a question for them, right? I think Peralta's a guy who you put in that system and can help win some ball games, right?
Mhm.
And put them in a good position. That's my third move. And my last move is a guy that me and Dax love to watch pitch. He's a badass pitcher who's stuck in a very, very bad franchise right now. And I think Joe Ryan gets dealt finally to the San Diego Padres. I
Wow.
think I think the Padres are in a spot right now where they're competing. They're playing good baseball. They got the best closer in the game. Their bats are there, and they will, I think, are at a decent enough spot to compete. I think they do
Yeah.
need. I think they need a batter too, but there's no doubt they need another arm. They're relying on guys like Randy Vasquez who are just not getting the job done,
Yeah.
and other guys. But they definitely need a starting pitcher. Joe Ryan seems to be the answer, in my opinion. He's a guy that just you know what you're gonna get out of him. Stud it year in, year out.
Mhm.
And the Twins gotta get some value. I mean, they're not competing anytime soon. Make a big trade. And the Padres, year in, year out, have shown that they're willing to make big moves.
Yeah.
And that's my last trade deadline prediction. What you got?
So love love those predictions. I think the most guaranteed move is Chapman. I think he's having a great year. He's reliable, as you said. And if you're real, Red Sox are not contending, right? So they're going to be sellers, and it would be foolish of them to not move him, in my opinion.
I mean,
Um,
that's the question. Are they gonna contend? Are they gonna try to contend? That's the question. If
yeah,
not, you get rid of them.
yeah. So, I do see heavy buyers, with the Yankees. Obviously, I think the Braves are also heavy buyers. Um, who else? The Cubs. I think they're gonna be buying as well. Um, and
Phillies?
honestly, huh?
Phillies?
And the Phillies. Now,
Brewers?
one team. Before I get into the players, I do want to say a team that I would love to see start buying are the Fish.
That'd be awesome.
I would love to start seeing the Miami Marlins take this season seriously because they're looking at the clock and they're like, oh, it's All-Star break, and we're actually doing really good. They're 3 games as of the 8th. They're 3 games behind first place in the National League East, which is crazy. So I think they should go out, shock the world. Who knows? I mean, maybe get I don't know, but I think they should be buyers. I think it'd be foolish for them to not. They have the young core. I think they're lacking some vets and some big bats. So who knows? Um, as of right now, in terms of the market, right? Because you said a lot of big pieces. You said the schoolboy. You said Joe Ryan. One guy that I do think there. I mean, I'll say two guys that I would like to see get dealt. That are insanely talented. One of them is Byron Buxton. Byron Buxton is having an insane season right now. I mean, we're talking about MVP candidate potentially. And he's very valuable. However, the Twins are not very valuable, and I think he's starting to. I mean, he has 2 more years of his contract. I think he's a little bit more. I think he's a little bit more than 15 mil a year. I think that's a move that I think the Phillies or the Padres should make.
The thing with him is that he has a no trade clause in his contract, right? So he's not allowed to get traded. It would have to be him waiving it, and he has said many times that he doesn't want to leave.
Yeah,
So that's what it's gonna come down to. I mean, I don't think
yeah,
I'd be surprising if I don't. It'd really come down to him.
yeah. True.
But
But I could see him either going to Philly. I can see him. Who knows? Maybe even um Tampa. Because I mean Tampa. They're I mean, it's another team that um
they need them. They need moves, but they don't press that button. They haven't in the past, so I don't know if they will.
yeah, yeah. I don't
Especially a
know.
guy like that. I don't think
Yeah,
he would waive his no trade clause to get traded to Tampa. I don't think so.
yeah. I'll talk as a Yankee fan, right? I mean, right now we're in the position where we have to win. We have to win Judge or Ring. Um, like you said, obviously Tarek would be a league breaking kind of trade, just with that staff. However, I see struggles offensively more than our arms, and unfortunately, it has to do with the infield and more in particular middle infield. Caballero's enough right now. He's doing fine. Third base, I mean McMahon. I don't know if that's enough. Um, and one thing that I would like to see is I don't know how they would do it, but I would like to see us get maybe CJ Abrams. I think this is a starter in the All-Star game who's on a team that sucks. And I think this is a guy that he's going to move your offense in the right direction. I understand that we have a lot of lefties, so maybe that's a concern. But at the end of the day, I think the infield is in need of a change. And that's a great option. I know there's Jeremy Pena is also on the table at short. Um,
In my opinion, the one move the Yankees need to make if it's in the infield would be getting
Luis Ariz.
and then moving Jazz back to third.
Yeah.
But Cashman has been indecisive about Jazz playing third. I know they're not very happy about that, but having a guy like that at top of your order, backed up by Ben Rice, Belly, and Judge, that's just disgusting.
Yeah.
So if there's a move in the infield, I would lean towards the Rise. I personally, if I'm Cashman,
I think the more Cashman move would be to get Matt Chapman. I could see that being a move that Chapman makes, or sorry, that Chapman makes, that Cashman makes. Um, that presence, biggest hole I would say right now on the team's third. So I could see him going towards Chapman. Another move that I would like to see happen, and who is probably going to get dealt at the trade deadline, is Josh Hader. Astros are not a good team right now. Uh, he's a very valuable player. Our pen isn't the best right now, and so that's another move that I would like to see, for sure. So I could see him going to who knows, Chicago, us. I mean the goes on and on. Um, but who knows? Even I was gonna say the Blue Jays, but no. But long story short, I think Chapman is gonna be dope. Um, I heard even Mariners are a responsibility, but I don't know what they're gonna be doing this trade deadline. We talked about him earlier, Sonny Gray. I mean, he's having an incredible season. I think there's some value with moving him. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I think Tarek is a guy that he's like the button that it's okay. We're trying to win a championship, and I think there's a handful of teams that are on that position. I think it's the Yankees, I think it's the Dodgers, I think it's the Phillies, and the
Brewers,
Braves, and the
Brewers,
Braves. Yeah,
that'd be a really cool move.
it would be a cool move. Um, yeah, they'd be unstoppable. But yeah, I really think I'm a firm believer that the trade deadline is the MLB season. I've talked to MC about this all the time. He asked me, "Oh, who do you think is gonna win the World Series?" I always tell him, "Just give me until the deadline, and then I'll tell you a good answer." Because anything before that, to me, is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the championships, every single move that's made in the deadline affects how the playoffs turn out. It really does. You can look in the past, and history does not lie. But history does repeat itself. And I think that this year, what happened at the deadline is gonna lead to a championship for someone. And I hope it's for Brian Cashman and the New York Yankees. But I guess we'll see. Um, Look, this weekend's big for sports for us. We actually have a flight tonight to Las Vegas because we are catching the UFC. What number is it?
329.
329. And of course, it's Max Holloway versus Conor McGregor, two of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. That's gonna be insane. We love Patty. We'll get to watch Patty. There's some great fights stacked up for that. But we hope you guys enjoy this episode, and we'll see you next time.